And we're live on Instagram and Facebook. Hey there, it's Monday. Welcome to the do-over version of the live show. Appreciate your patience and having some grace for me today. And from yesterday. So today I wanted to try to address the question, is my husband a sex addict? And here's the thing that I first need to say is one, I am a life coach and a spiritual director. I am not a clinician, and so I cannot make any sort of diagnosis about whether or not your husband, your spouse, your partner is a sex addict. And so that's the first caveat that I need to get out of the way. The second thing I want to say is technically, sex addiction is not a diagnosis. It was until a few years ago, but then it was removed from the DSM, the statistical manual that clinicians use. It has all the lists of diagnoses that exist in the world. And it was removed because the American Psychiatric Association felt that there was not enough empirical evidence to support whether or not sex addiction as a diagnosis, as a standalone disease, really existed. And they felt like that it didn't quite meet the criteria that they had set up for addiction in general. So that's the other sort of nuance to this when we're talking about this sort of murky disease. But I can give you some sort of background information about what sex addiction can look like and show up in your life, and maybe help you give you a little bit more information as you're trying to sort through this issue for yourself. So sex addiction is really, and I'm just calling it addiction, because in my community of partners of sex addicts, we definitely feel it is an addiction and a disease that needs to be treated as a standalone thing. It is different from drug and alcohol. It is not a question of willpower. It is not a question of you not having enough sex with him. It is none of those things. And if anybody has told you that, then please run away from those people who said those things to you. First and foremost, before we go any further, this is not your fault. Like, whatever his behaviors are that you're concerned about, it is not your fault. It's not because you didn't love him enough or have enough sex with him or anything like that. This is not your fault. You didn't do it. Okay, there, got that out of the way. So really, we're talking about sex addiction. We're talking about compulsive sexual behavior. So some of the ways, the acting out behaviors is the term that we use in this community, like, can be more socially acceptable, and even with, like, in loving and consensual relationships, some of these things can be okay. However, the key word to remember is compulsive. This is a compulsive progressive disease. So compulsive sexual behavior is a condition in which an individual cannot manage their sexual behavior. They have persistent sexual thoughts that interfere with their ability to work, maintain relationship, and other activities. And so currently, the statistics show that maybe 3 to 6% of people in the U.S. Have compulsive sexual behaviors. So some more, I'm looking at some papers here that I pulled. What that might look like is repetitive sexual activities that become a central focus of the person's life to the point of neglecting health, personal care, other interests and responsibilities. They have numerous unsuccessful attempts to reduce this repetitive sexual behaviors. They continue this behavior despite adverse consequences or deriving little or no satisfaction from it. So why do they keep doing it? I mean, you have to think of it like a drug. Like, they do it for a while and they get the payoff, they get the high, and then it's progressive because eventually they have to do something bigger, more riskier or intense to get that same amount of high. It also includes a pattern of failure to control intense sexual impulses or urges, and the resulting of repetitive sexual behavior over an extended period of time, for example, 6 months. Also, we're talking about persistent behaviors that cause marked distress or significant impairment in personal, family, social, educational, and occupational function, as well as other important areas of their life. So really what I want to say to you is, it's a lot of words. But if you're asking yourself this question, the thing that I want to really drive home to you is to trust yourself, to trust your intuition until you're proven wrong, right? Because you're a very wise woman. And I'm sure that's true about you. And if you're concerned about something that your husband is doing and have, particular questions, like I would definitely pay attention to that. And I would continue to seek out help, who can help you sort through this issue. And the thing is, so, I offer coaching packages to support partners of sex addicts. And I call that name Partners of Sex Addicts, but really I'm also talking about women who've experienced infidelity or betrayal trauma at either one of those levels. And maybe you're not sure if it's sex addiction. Definitely we could still get on the phone and talk about your particular situation, and I'm sure it could be helpful to you to sort of sort through what's going on and figure out some next steps, to try to get some help for you, and possibly talk about what help your husband also might need. So just a little bit further, some particular activities that it could show up as, and I apologize if this is triggery for you. I'll try to keep it at a broad level. But some of those compulsive sexual behaviors could include compulsive masturbation, multiple affairs, sexual partners, and one-night stands, persistent use of pornography, practicing unsafe sex, cyber sex, and meeting with sex workers or prostitutes. So that's what I was trying to say earlier. Like, masturbation is a normal, healthy thing for people. However, just like, any good thing like wine or queso, like too much of a good thing, and the intent and the energy and the impulsivity behind it, when you can't control it, that's when it becomes a bad thing. And pornography, again, lots of couples choose to have that as part of their sex life. If there's consent between the two of you and you are okay with that, and you're really okay with it, and you're not just going along with it, again, no judgment. That's your personal decision. But the issue is when it feels like it's out of control, or if you have asked him repeatedly to stop looking at pornography and you have a problem with it, like you have a right to ask that he stop doing that. And 100% understand that you might feel that to be a betrayal. Lots of women do. You're not alone if that's true for you. So, okay, that's a lot of information. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today. And I think just the key takeaway today is, one, if your intuition tells you that something's going on, 100% pay attention to that. And two, if you have further questions and want to try to figure out a strategy to move forward for your life and how to take care of yourself and what's going on, absolutely reach out to me. Got a great new website, jennyrochelle.com. You can schedule an appointment to talk to me. Anyway, thank you so much for your patience. We'll talk to you soon.